The United States is returning extraordinary powers troops to Chad after taking off at the country's ask about 5 months prior. Major General Kenneth Ekman, who managed the later U.S. withdrawal from Niger at the ask of U.S. Africa Command Chief General Michael Langley, told correspondents in an exclusive meet Thursday that the United States and Chad have come to an understanding on the return of a restricted number of uncommon powers faculty. It was a presidential choice by Chadian President Mohamed Deby. But the choice is made, and presently we're working through the specifics on how we return, he included. In April, the U.S. pulled out some 70 extraordinary strengths faculty from Chad ahead of the nation's presidential decision. Deby won that decision and eventually chosen to permit U.S. strengths to return, a choice that was as it were as of late handed off to U.S. Africa Command. Ekman told the reporters the U.S. military plans a littler operation than the Central Command that strengths already kept up in Chad, whose 11,000-member counter-terror constraint is battling a developing number of Boko Haram and Islamic State activists around Lake Chad. The heading of approach from Chad is gigantically vital, Ekman said, particularly taking following the U.S. military withdrawal from Niger that formally finished on Sunday with his flight from Niamey. In case our nearness in Niger permitted us to go interior out relative to the Sahelian-based VEO savage radical organization danger, we presently ought to return to going exterior in. The head of U.S. Africa Command, Common Michael Langley, has said his strengths are beginning to reset and recalibrate within the locale. Sometime recently overthrows in Niger, the United States had hundreds of forces in 2 bases that served as major counterterrorism centers. Burkina Faso and Mali, too, facilitated U.S. uncommon strengths groups earlier to overthrows in their nations that strained their relationship with the United States and eventually cut off U.S. military get-to prime areas from which to screen dread bunches and prepare nearby accomplices. Beneath U.S. law, the overthrows avoid AFRICOM from coordinate military-to-military participation. Presently, nations such as Ivory Coast, Nigeria, Ghana, Benin, and Chad will decide the United States counter-terror procedure and drive quality in West Africa. Each accomplice has their own unique security concerns. They too have their own individual resilience and readiness to tolerate the presence of U.S. strengths, Ekman said. Ghana and Nigeria have made it clear to the United States that they are not interested in facilitating U.S. strengths, according to Ekman. But as the rough aggressor risk spreads basically southwest from the Sahel, a few West African countries along the coast are inquiring for more U.S. capabilities. Indeed, sometime previously the overthrow in Niger, the U.S. begun repairing and landing strip in Benin to suit U.S. military flying machine. After the upset in Niger, the U.S. moved extraordinary powers into Ivory Coast as well, Ekman told the reporters. Any choice to set up a bigger military nearness, just like the one the U.S. built up in Niger, will eventually be an approach choice. I don't think you're attending to see another discuss base 201, said a senior U.S. military official who talked on condition of namelessness to examine continuous arrangements, alluding to the $100 million Ramble base that the U.S. built within the Nigerian Leave. Instead, the U.S. will likely attempt to work from inside accomplice constrain armies through reinforcing base fortresses and capabilities. But the U.S. has not made this sort of ascension with any West African accomplices since the withdrawal from Niger. We're not there, however, Ekman said. Lessened get-to. Since U.S. counter-terror operations were ended in Niger, Ekman cautions that the locale has ended up more opaque as U.S. associations and get-to have reduced. It is more troublesome to screen the fear risk in West Africa, which harms the U.S. capacity to counter it. Authorities concede the U.S. is presently soul-looking, its certainty shaken from broken organizations and territorial approaches that have fizzled to pack down the fearmongers. The U.S. military has been entrusted with treating the symptom terrorism, the senior military official said, recognizing that discretionary and financial approaches are what is required to counter terrorism's root causes on the landmass. The U.S. military's withdrawal shows up to be a net misfortune for Niger, the joined-together states, and other territorial accomplices who had profited from U.S. insights, reconnaissance, and observation capabilities available through its bases in Niger. Since the July 2023 overthrow, radical assaults have ended up more deadly as Niger has misplaced assets and accomplices. They're completely feeling those misfortunes, the senior military official said. Ekman said he accepts that the U.S. and Niger's shared security destinations will continue to connect the two countries indeed without American powers on the ground. How we will pursue those destinations, either together or separated, as a result of the withdrawal remains to be seen, but we needed to create sure we kept all alternatives on the table, he said.